Superman and Lois opens with a baby finding a home, discovering his powers, experiencing grief, and finally carry his parents' values into the world before beginning his own life of marriage and children. This is a story about social memory, where shared histories inherited by the groups we belong to connects us deeper with each other and with our world, where the meaning of life is defined by the transmission of values beyond death. Therefore, where the Snyder Saga politically deconstructed Superman from the very beginning, where his simple values can't rise above the modern miasma of fear, Superman and Lois takes a cultural approach. We start late in his career, but the world is forgetting its past and becoming incompatible with his life, as Midwestern communities are left behind.
Everybody else we know moved away.
Lewick?
Twin Cities.
Sippy?
St. Louis.
Furthermore, traditional journalism is eroded due to clickbait priorities and corporate
They
ownership.
don't care about human interest stories or facts. All they care about is click-throughs.
As a result, before Martha dies, her last wish is to tell them to come home. Come back to Smallville and build something there. As Maurice Holbach's argued, now space is a reality that endures. Since our impressions rush by one after another and leave nothing behind in the mind, we can understand how we recapture the past only by understanding how it is, in effect, preserved by our physical surroundings.
You think your mom wanted us to move to Smallville and live on the farm?
It's a simpler life.
Although how is the new cast, by the way? Christopher Reeve played Superman with larger-than-life charm. Tom Welling treated Clark as a farm boy trapped in a more complicated world, and Henry Cavill gave him a melancholic disposition. Tyler Hoechlin is up there with one of my favorites now, which is weird because I remember thinking his face was way too scary to be Superman. But what's wonderful is his dorky warmth, from his goofy smile to his chill voice to his low-key demeanor.
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah! Okay. Yes.
Everything about his performance is ludicrously consistent with the notion that he's just a friendly dude with no sense of self-importance.
Oswald fired you?
Look, it's better me than somebody else, okay?
He's exactly how I imagined Superman to be if he was real. He's not a god raised on a farm, he's a farm boy with godlike powers, and that juxtaposition is what makes him likable, to the extent that when he's with Lois, her presence often overpowers him.
You okay?
I'm fine, Clark.
Okay.
And that's just great. Bitsy Tulik is friggin'. Subsequently, the show is pretty metatextual. It deconstructs by tearing apart Superman's mythology with modern questions, and also finds ways to reconstruct them with modern answers. And at the center of this approach are the twins, Jonathan and Jordan Kent.
That's great. Let's celebrate with some chili cheese fries.
One son is popular and confident, the other has social anxiety disorder, but he's the one that got powers. They basically symbolically separate Superman's body from his heart, what's inherited and what's learned. Jordan inherited the physical aspects, but not the positive attitude or character.
What were you talking to Sarah about earlier? Are you spying on me?
Jonathan got the optimism, but not the power.
Skills on the field? Legit.
FYI, I was totally ready to hate them because A, Dynasty characters can either be extremely whiny or extremely bland, because they're often written and defined by how they complement or disturb the legacy character, without really any thought put into their own. B, teenage subplots can be often irritating, and C, I want to see Superman, not his kids. But the show dodges pretty much all of my issues with just sheer raw emotional honesty. They're flawed enough to make mistakes, but likable enough to learn from them, and realistic enough to keep learning and keep making new mistakes. They feel real.
Yeah, okay, you did total that. Pretty sick. Try.
Season 1 is 15 episodes and is structured like 5 mini-films. The first 3 episodes is about how the power of trust is more powerful than any superpower when it comes to bringing people closer. For example, Clark learns to stop eavesdropping on his kids,
I'm sorry. No more listening in on your conversations.
but is also unhappy that Jordan, with his powers, had joined the football team. Jonathan stands up for him.
I appreciate you sticking up for your brother.
Look, it's not even like that. You should have seen him out there. He's making friends. He's been happy for the first time in forever.
And Clark lets it be and takes the opportunity to be part of their lives, as opposed to just working all the time. It's a simple story, but the point is, Clark is defined by his kids.
Kind of like you need my help with this, all right?
Yeah. Ow, God.
The second film is about how this self-definition becomes a site for sharing memories. Jordan and John swap places now. As he gets dumped and struggles to make friends, he wants to move back.
I lost all my friends. I'm probably never gonna play football again. And now what? You just expect me to drop my life forever? everyone else's.
When Clark was young, he also felt similarly disenchanted with Smallville.
You can't be running around playing masked vigilante.
Then his mom revealed his Kryptonian crystal, and that guided him away. It's great, but it also gave him a lifetime of guilt for leaving her all alone. Therefore, he shares this with John in order to help contextualize his feelings on a broader autobiographical level.
When I was just a couple years older than you, I did leave home.
And he never came back.
I still think about that decision. That time that I gave up with my mom, I never got it back. She only had so much time to give, and she sacrificed it for me.
So, ironically, we have to remember remembering may be a personal experience where we convert the past into chapters into our lives, but it also has social uses. When we share memories, we can help author others. But what about the opposite, where private memories become harmful because it encloses the self from the external world? Film 3, episodes 7 through 9, deals with this predicament. First, Lois feels powerless due to a previous miscarriage, a memory that she avoided confronting by overworking herself.
I get how important it is to grieve the loss. I read all the books, all the websites. I'm just one of those people that copes better when there's more on my plate, not less. It helps me focus.
But as the boys grew up, the wounds reopen. Secondly, there's Steel, aka John Henry Irons, who hates Superman because on his world he turned evil and destroyed everything, including his wife, his own Earth's Lois.
What if there were more Kryptonians? A dozen or so, and he decided he was loyal to them. He won't turn.
So he left behind his daughter for revenge. Both characters are dealing with trauma. One experience is so painful that it becomes inaccessible, locked away in the mind and yet overpowering with what could be conceivably written.
I figure, why take the chance?
As a result, for Lois, this reaches its climax when she totally loses her shit when John almost gets killed looking for weapons to protect the family. He's kind of dealing with his own impotence.
Dad? No, I'm good.
Yes.
She effectively uses him to vent her confusion and answer her impotence while still avoiding the memory, and golly, I can't stress how amazing Bitsy Tulik's acting is in this episode. Like, oh, whoa!
Is this the part where you tell me the miscarriage wasn't my fault? Because the guilt that I feel is real.
The clinical answer is, of course, to integrate the pain and use it as an opportunity to rebuild yourself. Lois does this by sharing her painful past with Jonathan, so not only does he understand, but she's no longer a mother without her baby, she's now defined as a mother with a son. She stops looking backwards.
And then just being reminded of the child that I lost and then almost losing you.
Steel has the opportunity to kill Superman, but Lois steps in using her therapy results to stop him. Therefore, in order to protect who he is, he doesn't kill Clark and writes a new chapter in his life. Not as a villain, but just as him. A traveler learning to live in a new land, symbolized by his creepy van.
Erase the profile for Captain Luther. Start a new one for me. John Henry Irons.
There's also an awesome subplot where Superman is humble enough to accept the necessity of weapons on him, and I can't stress how unbelievably cathartic this is. Everyone acts so real, it's awesome. But who's the actual villain? In Film 4, episode 11 and 12, we discover Morgan Edge, the billionaire who's been reinvigorating Smallville's economy and experimenting on people, is actually Clark's half-brother, Tal Rowe.
I'm the son of Zeta Rowe and Lara Lorvan,
who landed in Britain and was experimented on, presumably to see if it can be bettered. He asked Kal-El to join him, because together they can restore their mother.
I know you long to see her just as I do.
An offer that perfectly makes sense as a turning point for Steel's evil Superman on his Earth, because both Clarks would have lost their Marthas recently, but in our world, he's not just a son without a mother, but a husband and a father too. He's a different man who's orientated not backwards, but forwards.
I'm not gonna leave after Edge just sent someone to kill you and Jonathan.
Furthermore, they represent two different forms of integration, where Clark gave Krypton a future through his mixed-race children.
We have two sons.
Tell me all about them.
Morgan Edge plans to use humans as hosts for Kryptonian souls.
They don't deserve to lose their lives.
They are inferior.
No, they're not. They're just different.
As a result, where everyone represents the importance of remembering and sharing such past, Morgan Edge symbolizes the need for forgetting. Which I know sounds kind of bad on an ethical level, but academically, forgetting has a role in bringing people together. Scholars like Ernest Renan argued it's essential for the construction and maintenance of national solidarity and identity. Superman's mother, who hosts Lana Lang and is the creator of the conversion machine, creates a tool to restore Edge's victims, to bring an end to his plans.
The Kryptonian consciousness will remain in the Eradicator and their powers will dissipate over time.
She effectively gives Kal-El the permission to move on, to forget, in order to reconcile. Then, as Superman cures everyone, he almost loses his powers and crawls back to the fortress. By the way, I have to bring up episode 11, which is my favorite. In a flashback, hipster Clark is trained Man of Steel style by Jor-El and comes home different, but sees Lana with someone else. He needs to leave Smallville now, there's nothing left for him. So Martha makes him the Superman costume from a dream, and he becomes a symbol. Lois is introduced as somewhat miffed because his popularity is overshadowing the more working class, smaller issues.
I didn't know about this.
It's my point exactly. I have been covering this for months, only my reporting keeps getting drowned out by everyone's favorite Miracle Man.
Which I think is immediately brilliant, because Superman started out as a social crusader, looking out for the little guy, so the idea that their love spawns from the shared interest, and also just simply seeing Superman stopping a racist in a small neighborhood is such a great send-off to Siegel and Schuster's original vision. Afterwards, Superman has a TV interview where he speaks possibly the worst Cantonese I think I've ever heard in my entire life. There's also a clever inversion where Lois is in love with Clark, not Superman, so they're able to keep the traditional love triangle between them without making her seem shallow.
That's okay. He's a lucky man.
Again, brilliant. As a result, he reveals the truth. In one walk, we can see her transform from hesitation to charged with love. They marry. Lois is a cynical city girl, and Clark is a naive farm boy. Their attraction comes from how they show each other something else, something different, therefore they complete each other.
How can I help?
It's then revealed that after Clark retreated back into the fortress, Tar-Ro is attacking his mind.
Get out of here now!
And this flashback has been him quite literally investigating Clark's mind, and he's disgusted of Cal's double life.
To be a man of greatness and choose to be less.
Like how Jordan and Jonathan represented the mind and the body, Cal and Tal do the same thing for the legacy of their mother. And as Clark was raised with love and gives love to his children, Tal inherited and shares abuse from his father.
Find another way.
My way is the only way. I won't survive.
In the final film, episodes 13, 14, and 15, Tar-Ro kidnaps Jordan so his father can host him. It's very, very corny. Ainz is now fully motivated, seeing another family torn apart. Lois, with her experience as a mother, uses the Kryptonian device to save Jordan.
I've been helping Jordan push through that darkness his whole life. I can do it now.
While John protects her. It's a brilliant way to pay off both of their character arcs. Superman and Steel then beats Tar-Ro. However, Steel almost dies and falls just as he inflicted onto Clark in episode 1, but is saved. From enemies to brothers, everything goes full circle. Superman then delivers a speech to Smallville, explaining everything.
Are you at all worried that this would make people afraid of Kryptonians?
That's not something I will ever be able to control. But I know who I really am.
He's not afraid, and celebrates how the crisis has now strengthened the town's spirit despite their decline. The man who learned to trust his kids, trust upon his home. And after episodes and episodes of me hating Carl and not really liking the whole Lang family subplots, I eventually fell in love with them so hard that I had the biggest grin on my face when I saw them host a barbecue again. A funeral is held for Jor-El's destroyed crystal, where Clark remembers how, more importantly than just giving information about his people, he was there as a father. A lesson that Kal-El will now follow for his own children. The perfect legacy for the House of El.
Moving on can be a distraction. Sometimes to heal, you've got to sit with the feeling, let it run its course.
This small town was hurting.
This is the only planet you've ever known. So you don't know the pain of losing one.
And I'm free to just drive out of here.
People in this town are going to want answers.
Please, tell me what Morgan Edge did to my son.
All the times you were gone, you lied to us. You both did.
It's simple. If there really is a war coming, an event this big could have destroyed it.
Your miscarriage wasn't because of something you did or didn't do.
But it didn't. We brought it back together.
It was something that happened to you.
This is all your doing. It was your influence that made him turn his back on his own people.
I saw people find strength they didn't know they had.
You're good people, Lois. And I'm real happy you're part of this town.
You guys got to have that together. It's a great memory to hold on to.
I was so excited to meet her.
And if you had died, the only person that would have been to blame is yourself.
All this time I thought I was okay.
Yeah, there's nothing in here.
The box is the
We
gift.
just gotta be on the same page going forward.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
All I wanted was a family camp.
I don't even know where to begin. Whatever happened, we're together, all right?
This is a show of trust.
I'll let you live.
Rerouting unsuccessful. John, do you copy?
Doesn't mean I'm ready to fight by your side.
I understand. If you change your mind, you know how to find me.
All 5 films coalesce to show different arguments towards the ethics of remembering versus forgetting, and how they form bonds between people and the spaces they live in, to show us how every place has the capacity to deposit its past into us, and that expands who we are. Memories aren't just something held, they're performed. Remembering and forgetting have precious social functions. As Superman learns to father his sons, he looks into himself. As Lois learns to live with loss, she shares it. As the twins learn to make a home for themselves, they grow up. Superman, despite being how powerful he is, I'd argue is one of the most relatable superheroes when it comes to exploring self-identity, for the reason that he's an alien immigrant. He asks us, are we defined by where we're from, where we grow up, the secrets we hide, or about how sometimes we don't feel like we fit in. Superman, despite all his great strengths, should be defined by his emotional weaknesses, a man of 2 worlds and 2 hearts, living in one home. And Superman and Lois shows us that home is an idea, preserved not by simply its memories, but by the trust that comes from sharing it.
Wait for the wind, wait for the night. Stand here a while, take a little time.
Hey!